Hello, hello. Happy May and first weekend of May. And it's another Soul Food Sunday. And this month, I want to really focus in on some of the women of the Bible each Sunday. But men, don't turn away because really the principles apply. The characters just happen to be women and we want to be equal. So next month in June, we'll be focusing on different men in the Bible. But today I want to focus on a woman. We're very familiar with her story. It was a woman, and this is told in the Gospel of Mark. And she was a woman that had been bleeding for 12 years. Now, that's hard for us to imagine where we live today, but it's hard to even fathom what that would have been like in that day. It's mentioned in a couple of the Gospels, and one of them says that she spent literally all of her money going to doctors to heal her. And as I did a little bit of digging and research, some of the things that doctors did in those days, really are just totally crazy. And sometimes they would give them certain things they didn't know, they didn't have a way of really tapping in. I'm not sure how they were even trained. But just some of the things they did were just downright bizarre. But that's all they had. So she'd spent all of her money. Thing is, she would have been ostracized for bleeding because blood was something very sacred, but yet you couldn't touch. And so, really, for example, when a woman was menstruating or a young girl, you sort of were removed from everyone else because, again, their view of blood. And so you were isolated. So this woman may at some point have been married, but she surely wasn't now. And this was definitely grounds for her husband to divorce her. So again, she had to stay away from people because she was ceremonially unclean. So you talk about not fair. She already is dealing with this issue. She's probably extremely weak, anemic, underweight for that constant bleeding. And so she took a real risk being out in public. She took a risk being in a crowd. She took a risk, but she was desperate. And I just want to say to you, the person that is saying, if only you knew what I'm going through, I am desperate. This woman had tried everything. And don't we have so many options? We see commercials for this, we see things on social media. And a lot of times we try everything else. And then finally, we are hopeless. And that's where she was at. She had nothing to offer. This is the only place in the Bible where it shows that reference that Jesus healed her. And then he felt the power go out of him. So again, that almost shows how deep was her need that he turned and looked and who touched me. She didn't even actually physically touch him. She touched the hem of his garment. And so I just want to encourage anyone who is saying, I'm desperate. There is a savior for you. And then one other quick thing. There's another miracle tied to her miracle. One of the synagogue rulers had come to Jesus prior to this little incident, not little, prior to this incident, and said, my daughter, who also was 12, my daughter is on, her deathbed. And Jesus was actually getting ready to go with him to heal that man's daughter when this woman touched. So you see this intersection, it just crosses paths. And Jesus stops to tend to the woman, heals her of her 12-year journey of bleeding, of sickness. And in the meantime, that man's daughter dies. One of the people come and say, your daughter's died, leave the master alone. And that could have easily been a point where the father said, okay, never mind. But I believe seeing the miracle unfold in front of his eyes of this woman gave him hope to think, if he could do that, could he do something for me? Often, I believe, first of all, I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that was a very divine intersection of this woman who'd been dealing with a problem for 12 years, and this man whose daughter, who was 12 years old, was about to die. And Jesus healed both. And so a lot of times you may feel like, I have been struggling with this. I have been dealing with this. I have been in this situation. I've been in this relationship for 10, 15, sometimes longer. But there is something else in the mix. Don't give up, because it's this very same Jesus that walked the earth then is there for us today. So I just want to encourage you. And maybe there's someone that needs to hear this word of encouragement. Share this video. And again, think about your situation. Don't give up on it. God has a plan, and you are part of other people's plans. So be blessed. Take care. God bless.